Rob, you're muted.
Rob, you're stuck on mute still.
Hey, Gatlin, how you doing, man?
Hey, Kevin, I'm doing great.
Hey, everybody. I'm doing great, man. Welcome to the show, everybody. Rob's having some mic issues right now, so welcome to episode 7, the West Virginia Win post-game show. Rob, you got your mic situation fixed there yet? Guess not. I don't even know if he can hear us.
Wait, he just went back on mute.
Yeah, now he's technical difficulties.
Oh, no. All right, there you go. Try now.
Ooh.
All right, Rob. We can hear you.
All right. Episode 7, Cougar Digest podcast. Thank you, Kevin, for jumping in there. God only knows what that was. That's why Kevin's a part of this team now. Episode 7, we're going to chit-chat a little bit. We're live tonight. Going to talk a little bit about the West Virginia game last night. What an exciting game that was. Set to have Brandon Jenkins join us from 247. He's a recruiting analyst. He's going to join us, talk a little bit about Chase McCarty's commitment today to the Cougars. Big get for them. Kevin, what's up, man? How are we doing tonight?
Exhausted from the game yesterday, you know. And the funny thing was, last night's game, okay, I left the stadium, okay. I walked out of the stadium with 31 seconds left to go in the game. It was 4th and 10. They were at midfield. I thought this game is over. And then as I'm rounding the parking garage, I hear a big, you know, cheer, okay. And then all of a sudden, I get on the phone, start listening to the game, found out that they scored a touchdown. And then I missed, of course, the Hail Mary pass to win the game. So I thought I had a chance to not miss anything and get everything that I needed, and I missed the biggest play of the game at the end there. So next time I'll stay those extra 31 seconds, I guess. You know?
You and a lot of other people, right?
Yeah, you can't leave at any time, right? I used to think the same way about the Astros. You know, you can't leave because even if they're down, they still have a good chance to win it in the 9th. And you know, it took a miracle, and I'm not sure I like the fact that it takes a miracle to win a game for us, but I will take it nonetheless.
Fair deal. Also tonight, going to join us on the show, Gatlin Stewart. He's been on before with us. Did some X's and O's breakdowns with us before, and he's on the board, obviously. So, Gatlin, what is your thoughts initially coming out of the gate with last night's win?
Guys, I'm doing great. You know, look, the day after a win, colors are more vivid. The world smells better. Life is good, guys. We don't get many of these, so we got to savor them, all right? So to Kevin's point, do I wish we needed a miracle to win the game? Certainly not. But a win is a win, and candidly, I've seen this kind of take around a little bit today already. But U of H had this game in the bag. Like again, if anyone was lucky, it was not Houston, right? Like they should have closed this game out, and it'd been a double-digit win, and no one even, Kevin, you got home safe and didn't miss anything those last 31 seconds.
That's what I thought, you know.
But instead we have this thriller, and hey, a win is a win.
True.
Yeah,
very true.
I agree.
They probably could have had that locked down about, I guess, I'm assuming you would say as well about the 6-minute mark or so, and that 6-minute mark when that interception got dropped.
Yeah.
You would assume the offense can run that clock a little bit, but I know it's been a little bit hit and miss on that. So you would assume that's how it would play out. But yeah, in the end, not only did they secure an important win for them, the program, they did it in an exciting fashion. Gave everybody a little bit of if ever I've seen a difference, it was between the scoring play from West Virginia and the touchdown, from lots of curse words and slamming of things to just exuberance and high-fiving everybody around them. It was a cool experience. Don't get me wrong. I was saying I don't think I've ever really done that in person before. Not at the college level for sure. I've not seen it. But yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was exciting. You don't get to experience that all the time, right?
That's right.
So, in terms of discussing it further, Gatlin, what are your thoughts? Obviously, I know we're going to try to get on this weekend and maybe do some more specific X's and O stuff, but I know you're a guy that always watches the trenches. Obviously, what are your thoughts? Just mine initially coming out of the gate is that the offense was decent. The offensive line played okay, about the same, I would imagine, but still obviously room to improve. But I feel like the offense is doing a little bit more to overcome the deficiencies of the offensive line. Just my opinion, of course. But what are your thoughts initially on how the line played last night? I know you watched them a lot.
Yeah, no, I mean, I certainly think the offensive line has come a long way this year. I will say that I have seen improvement. As the level of competition has continued to rise, I feel like the offensive line's level of play has kind of stayed the same, which tells me I think they're getting better. A note I did make, I didn't see anybody really talking about it, but there was a period there. I think it was the end of the second quarter where we got a little bit of substitution at the guards, and Max Baines and Peyton Dunn came in. And I loved what I saw from Max. I hope we get to see a little bit more of Max this year. Peyton Dunn strikes me as a kid who's just still kind of young. I would be open to kind of putting him in there and dealing with some of those growing pains. I think he has some really great potential just with how big his body is. Like, he can throw that weight around, and he missed that really critical blitz pickup that if he picks it up, or it wasn't even a blitz, I think it was a stunt, but if he picks that guy up, we have the shot over the top too. I don't remember if it was the running back or Sam Brown, but he kind of gets hit as he makes that throw. Donovan does, and the ball sails out of bounds. But outside of that, I mean, I thought the line played okay enough. The note that I made, though, really is Houston finding an identity, and I think they are. And it's not the one they wanted coming into the season, which was kind of like lean into this offensive line and a run game. It's more of this spread offense, whatever we want to call it, air raid, but it's an identity. And I think that's the thing that I walked away from this game thinking, is that in this identity, the offensive line is playing perfectly fine. We rushed for 150 yards. Yeah, we got pressured a couple times on a 4-man rush that you don't love, some things like that. The way they pick up stunts is still really poor from a communication standpoint. And this is what I texted you guys, I think it's fine enough. I think Houston can win some games with the level of offensive line play that we watched last night.
Right. That's fair. I do. I really do think that's fair. You know what I mean? I remember that too. When I saw them, I happened to be standing on that end of the field when I saw Baines and Dunn come down, and they, to get ready to go in, and you could tell they were about to go in. And I was like, okay, I see that. I see they're about to change them up a little bit. That's good, keeping them fresh or whatnot, and also giving some other guys the opportunity, because, I mean, let's be fair. Other than a couple guys, probably everybody could use improvement. And I know everybody's working towards that, but the only criticism I would have, and it's probably not even good criticism in the moment, I'm thinking more long term, but I sure would love to see them be able to get Demetrius Hunter a little bit more time in order to get him ready for what's fixing to happen to him at some point later this season or next year for sure. So I just think it's going to be a big step for him. And even if you give him a little bit of time at guard, just to get in there and start understanding that speed a little bit better from the live game situation. But, I mean, other than that, I don't want to criticize too much, because in the end, this was a big win. You could tell from the celebrations and whatnot that they were excited for it. So it meant a lot to the team and all that. So I'm cool with that. So question coming in from Connor real quick. What does this do for Dana's job security? You guys saw the story. Most of you probably saw the story I put out right before game time on last night. And it's just a situation I'm monitoring right now. Okay. Other than that, The reason I'll be completely transparent in the fact that the reason I put that out so late yesterday is because I didn't want it to be a distraction for the team or anybody like that, and that's not fair to those kids and all that. You know what I mean? And that's just my approach to it.
Yeah.
Some people are different. I get that, but there's no sense in that becoming a distraction to the game for these guys. And like I said, you could tell when I put in the story. We'll be interested to see what team comes out. I think they came out and fought a little harder this week. I'll be quite honest with you. Is that what they did? Is that, whatever it may be, attribute it to whatever. But in terms of Holgerson's job security, I'm going to say a TBD on that at the moment. I think it's clear at this point that, like I put in the story, everything's in play for, I think, the Houston leadership. So
yeah,
we'll just let things play out. Be sure and be on the site. Subscribe here. Subscribe on the site. And as things play out, I'll continue to push forward everything I can along the way. So other than that, how about we focus a little bit more while we wait for some more questions? And also I got a heads up from Brandon. He'll be in just a few minutes. So
actually, Brandon is waiting for us right now.
Oh, my bad. I only see 4 down there. Go ahead then. If you want to bring Brandon in, let's go ahead and do that.
All right. We got Brandon Jenkins.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Mr. Jenkins.
Doing good, Brandon. Doing good, especially after last night's win.
Valid emotions.
Yeah,
right.
Today's win. Feeling even better after some good news we got around 3 p.m.
Yeah, that's the reason why we got Brandon on the show.
Yeah, Brandon, what are your thoughts?
Obviously,
there you go. Go ahead, Brandon. Share your thoughts.
Oh yeah, well yeah, it was a big time get. Definitely a culture get that I know the staff was very excited about. Obviously, Chase McCarty, fits what the Cougars are trying to do from a physical standpoint, but also from a mindset standpoint of just trying to buy into winning. And I think it was just ideal for both parties for Chase to make that decision.
What kind of tools does he bring into the team? Like, he seems like a good fit because that you guys see that. But what exactly does he bring to this basketball team?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, offensively, he'll provide as a floor spacer. He has a funky jumper, but he is great in the half-court set, which is what Houston likes to play. He's definitely a great kick-out option and somebody who can definitely space the floor. On the defensive side of things, he's extremely competitive. And as we all know, you need to be competitive and you need to have a level of toughness to play for Kelvin Sampson. And he brings that just right off the rip. He has a body that will, cultivate and end up adding muscle. And it'll turn more from, just what is already a strong frame to a more intimidating frame down the road that will be able to battle, that he'll be able to battle and use for physicality once it comes to hitting the glass. Which is something that he also does. He plays with a very high motor. And all of those things are just necessary to, thrive in Kelvin Sampson's system on both ends of the floor.
Oh, yeah. Kelvin's system, they don't take any plays off, so it's constant energy, right? Just constant energy, constant going after those loose balls, every rebound, just not make anything easy for the opposing team. So it's nice to hear that he brings that skill set to the team to be able to add it to what we may lose even after this year. So that's definitely good news for the University of Houston Cougar basketball fans and for the university in general,
No, out of curiosity, Brandon, do you see Chase as more of like a natural 3, or does he play 2 at the high school level, or where do you see him kind of slotting into this Houston team?
I see him at both forward spots. I think he's more of a natural wing at the 3, but as we know, Houston tends to, I think Tremont Mark was playing that position last year, and they tend to use their 3 as more of a guard spot where they playing them off ball screens. And, Chase, that is something that Chase is currently needs to work on. But at the same time, he'll be able to provide value as a shooter at the 3 spot. In just different scenarios within the offense. I think him and Terrence Arsenault can play together, however Sampson decides to use them within their system. And then also he can slide over to the 4 spot because, like I said, he's just that tough. He will compete for rebounds. He does not mind guarding front court players. He has the length to be a disruptor on that end of the floor at the 4 spot. And like I said, he battles. He knows the importance of rebounding, and he gets after it. And so both 4 positions is probably where he projects to bring the most value in Sampson's system.
Amazing.
Definitely. Brandon, that brings the Cougars to, I guess, 2 commitments now in the 24 class, along with Mercy Miller. They still have some more work they're going to do. They're in on some other guys. Maybe who's a guy or two that we should pay attention to moving forward as they look to kind of round out this class?
Nicholas Cody.
Right.
Obviously, the staff is in dire need of a 4 spot heading into this next year. So Nicholas Cody will be the dude. It's somebody that the staff has been prioritizing since April, after the first weekend of the live period. So they've been adamant that he's the guy that they need in that class for the longest. And just some notes on Nick Cody. He's just a very versatile prospect with a lot of upside. We've seen Sampson have success with guys of his mold before, the Fabian Whites, the Jaywan Roberts, and he's honestly more talented than both of those dudes at this stage of his career. He's 6'9", he's long, he's mobile, he can protect the rim. He's extremely versatile. He can protect the rim, put the ball on the floor, has touch with either hand, and is very ambidextrous and has a motor. And so that's somebody that Sampson has been targeting for a while, and he'll probably go down to the wire. He's making his decision November the 2nd, and it looks like it's going to be between the Cougars and the Longhorns of Texas. So that's somebody that fans should keep an eye on.
And I think also, too, a little bit, and you can share your thoughts on this, it feels like Kellen Sampson Jr. is really starting to build his reputation for big man development down there. I know he does a lot with those guys when they're on campus, but you're starting to see the fruits of those labors now, and I think he's going to start growing that reputation even more for whenever he does take over for his dad.
Absolutely. I think we're going to see it with JoJo Tugler, somebody who's just a 4-star prospect. Usually, in college basketball, we expect 5-star dudes or top 30 dudes in the country to just be the immediate impact guys, but you're going to see a lot from JoJo Tugler, somebody who's ranked outside the top 50 on our list, I believe, but plays with an extremely ridiculous motor, has a long wingspan, and it shows up every day. He's an everyday guy. And so that's something that Kelvin Sampson values. And I think it's going to be really loud his freshman year. He's going to bring that production on the glass and also just with the energy alone.
Yeah, he's been coached well. Coach Flores over there at Cy Falls High School. He's a good coach. He runs a good program there. I've known him for a while, and he gets pretty good players out of that program. Not so many, I think, going D1, but they've had won a state championship, I think, in 17.
Yeah, 2018. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2018.
2017, my bad.
Yeah.
2017, yeah.
And he's a good coach. The guy knows how to coach. So I'm sure that he coached Tugler up pretty well while he was over there. Definitely.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think Sampson's coaching is something that Tugler was ready for, and I think they had a plan for him, and he was really bought into the plan even before he stepped on campus. So he's going to be a loud freshman name to know in the Big 12.
And also, Brandon, I know you focus a lot on recruiting and all that, but I'm sure you have an opinion. Just what are your thoughts on the Cougar program? I shared on the board the other day, just kind of that I thought, and you can agree or disagree either way. I just kind of feel like they're at a spot where they're just waiting to finally find that right mix to be able to truly. I mean, they're kind of a title contender most years, so to speak. You could see it happening, but they're just now waiting to finally get that right mix that's going to be able to carry them through to finish out a season. So, what are your thoughts on them this year? And then, what do you think on them in terms of where they're at as a program?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they could have won the title the last 2 to 3 years. I think a big thing is, obviously they went to the Final Four a couple of years ago and they ran into a Baylor team that was just incredible. But just these last 2 years, I think as much as it takes hard work and having professionals and also having a bunch of players that are bought in, it also takes a little bit of luck. And so
draw.
I think this year could definitely be the year. I mean, they bring in LJ Cryer, who doesn't miss. I mean, whether it's off the catch or off the bounce, he doesn't miss. He's going to be comfortable being at home in Houston. You get a former in-conference transfer in Damian Dunn, who knows how to score and is getting really adjusted to the system, really acclimated to Sampson's coaching and also what's expected from him on a day-to-day basis. And then you're bringing in a lot of returners. I mean, you have Javier Francis, who knows what he's supposed to do day in, day out. Is going to bring energy with his athleticism and bounce. Jaywan Roberts, who will probably surprise people with his offensive production this year. I mean, he has great touch around the basket also. He brings the motor that is needed. And then you also, like mentioning Tugler. Tugler has big expectations just with the energy that he brings off the bench. So they have a lot of motored up guys. Terrence Arsenault, we'll see if he makes the jump as a sophomore. if he can improve as a shooter and also just bring value in other assets of the game like he did back in his high school days, they have the team to do it. And so, like I said, they have the pieces. They have shooting. They have defense. They can hit. They're definitely going to be irritants on the glass. And so I think it'll just come down to when it comes down to it in the postseason. I think it will be all about just if the basketball gods work in their favor, because they definitely have all the pieces needed to win a national championship this year.
Is being in the Big 12? Is being in the Big 12? Is do you think that's something that can help them when tournament time comes? Going through that schedule that we're looking for them to play, is that something that can help them in the long run?
Absolutely, because I think what we all forget, just as fans of the game, is that these are young men. And so, when you're playing in the American Conference and you're going against, and no disrespect to these schools, but, when you're going against a lower level team in the American Conference, if they're playing a Tulane of some sort, teams that they tend to handle easy, there's a higher chance that they can get complacent. And so the Big 12, the sense of urgency will always be up. There are players that are offended that they didn't get recruited by schools that they're facing in conference. So just the mentality is going to be different. I think the sense of urgency is going to be at a extremely higher level, higher than it's ever been since Kelvin Sampson has been there. And I think you could see this pay off once they're in the NCAA tournament, because that will be the standard, once they're playing teams in like talent as they're moving forward in March.
That's fair. And also they talk too a lot about tournament time, guard play, just simply like you're talking about, the stuff out of your control, the draw, what kind of draw you get in the tournament. Health obviously is not a lot you can do about that. You got to get lucky in that sense, but good guard play is always a good thing. Houston is guard centric. Jamal Shead coming back as a point guard. Obviously he's a guy I feel maybe he gets underappreciated a little bit. And I know that's probably coming from me who sees him a lot more than on the national stage. So one of the guys I'm just looking for in terms of I'm interested to see what impact he makes and what recognition he gets on a bigger stage is Jamal Shead. Obviously no one's forgetting about him, but as Big 12 stuff comes out, I think he deserves at least watching this year to see how good he could be against some of the more elite teams that they're going to face in conference. So, like you said, I think they're right there. They will just see how it all comes together at this point.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I think Jamal Shead is a dog.
Yeah.
I don't think he gets as much recognition as he does just because he's just not wired to score the basketball. He's more of a team first guy, but everything that he does on the floor is just extremely loud. He guards the ball, he makes others better, and he's just a vocal leader. And he's just all about the right things, as you know. And so I think it'll be loud, when it comes down to the nitty gritty of things. And he is one of the best point guards in the Big 12, if not the country.
Hey, Brandon, I got a question for you. Looking a little bit further ahead, going back to some of these prospects we're talking about, obviously Chase McCarthy committed, Nick Cody not quite yet, but say things bounce our way there. How would you rate those guys in terms of like their ability for instant impact? Which of those do you see as maybe more of an interesting piece for like a first year contribution level?
I would say Chase McCarthy. I think Nick Cody will have a chance to get in there just because of what he brings intangible wise. And if his motor's there, I think there'll be like significant minutes that he'll be able to play. But I think Chase McCarthy is the one that I would bet on just for the simple fact that he can shoot the basketball and he's extremely tough, and they can use him in different sets, just in various situations in terms of if you want to play small ball, put him at the 4, or if you want to go big and put him at the 3. I think he just brings a lot of versatility to both ends of the floor. And you just that competitive fire that he has, I think that will earn him some early minutes in Kelvin Sampson's offense, and he will thrive.
Awesome.
I think we forget a little bit about Mercy Miller too, in terms of just like he committed so long ago.
Been like 3 years.
Everyone's kind of kept track of him, so to speak, but you know what I mean? He kind of falls to the back of the mind after a while. He's been committed for a while. So do you have any experience with him or in terms of watching him any and this and that? What are your thoughts on him?
Absolutely, yeah, and you're right. He has been committed. I think I was still in school when he first committed. Now I've been out of school, and honestly, it gets to the point where I'm typing the article and I'm thinking it's the Chase is their first commitment in 24, and I'm like, oh yeah, mercy. Like they have mercy.
Mercy.
Like, but no, he brings a lot of confidence to the game. He's a 3-level
Yeah.
scorer. He's very smooth. I think that's one of the hardest things. That's like a natural thing that you have to pick up in the game of basketball, just being smooth in your efforts of going about getting the bucket on all 3 levels of the floor. But he has that knack to go get it. Obviously, he's the son of Master P, so and Master P always preaches confidence to his kids. I realized that just looking from afar, and he brings that to the floor. He's very even keeled, has a calm demeanor, and I think he's somebody who will buy into Coach Sampson's coaching, but it'll take a minute. Coach expects a lot from his guards, and to earn that freedom, you have to be able to show that you're efficient enough. So I think that'll be the next step for him. Just going through that freshman wall and learning how to, channel your best efforts on a day-to-day basis. But a smooth scorer who should translate well in due time.
Is he more of a 2 or is he more of a 1?
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, is he more of a 2 or a 1?
Yeah, he's a natural 2. He's he can handle the ball, but he's more wired to put the ball in the basket and play off of other guards.
Obviously, Master P's known for obviously what he's known for, but basketball as well. Everybody knows he's a great hoopster and has his experience in this and that. Do you feel like he had a part in choosing Kelvin Sampson for where he wanted his son to land to an extent because he likes what Sampson does type thing, likes the discipline, likes what he molds those players into?
Absolutely. And I think it's, for parents, Houston has to be an ideal option just because, one, you're getting a coach that is, raising kids to be, grown men and be mature men and be people who benefit society in a positive way. But also, he lets his guards go. I mean, we see Marcus Sasser. He's pretty fun to watch just when you get him in ISO lanes. Tremont Mark took over the second round of the tournament. He gives his guards the freedom to go. You just have to buy into being tough and defending on that other end. And so I think parents can vibe with that, especially the ones that keep their kids accountable. And I think that's what you're seeing with Mercy Miller.
Do you think, you'll have to help me on this. I don't know how much influence Master P has in if he's involved in AAU or anything like that or not. But not that this team's probably looking for a ton of juice on the recruiting front. They're kind of holding their own at the moment. But does that have any play into it at all? Does he have any influence on the recruiting level?
Not that I know of. I think Master P is based out of the Minnesota and California area, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. And I think the P. Miller All-Stars are long gone. I hope they bring that back. I think that would be pretty dope. But no, I don't think. I think Houston is more bought into prioritizing the state. As we're looking in this 2025 class, I think they're prioritizing 5 of the top 10 players in the state and going after them really hard and probably in the lead for 4 of them. And so I think Houston is one of those schools that are just successful based off of just them knowing where home is and where they can get that type of talent at and knowing that they can win with that talent long term.
Yeah. It is interesting that you say that, though, Brandon, because I do think about I totally agree. I mean, that's kind of always been in their DNA to recruit close to home. But funny enough, right, I mean, if I think about it, all of the guys in the 24 class that are committed or that they're, kind of looking at committing, none of them are from Texas, right? I mean,
right.
Obviously, Mercy is tangentially, his roots are in Texas, but the rest of these guys aren't, right?
Well, I mean, Chase McCarty's based out of Alabama, and it is the South region, but it is also outside of the state. But I think you just got to give credit to Quantis right there, the lead recruiter for Jarris Walker on the Under Armour circuit. I mean, he got that done, and Chase McCarty's been very adamant about his relationship and how that played a factor in his commitment. But also, like I said, they're going after Nick Cody, and that was the one dude in a down year in 2024. And not only the city of Houston, but the state of Texas, they found a guy that they can mold and fit that is just as talented as any prospect that they have brought in over the past 5-6 years. And so it'll just be interesting to see if they get it done because Texas is really coming hard. Obviously, Cody's ranked the #1 player that currently plays high school basketball in the state. Trey Johnson is up in Link in Missouri. But, they're trying to prioritize that home base. And Nick Cody out of Carrollton is their way of doing so. And I think it will be an ideal way with the pass forwards that they've had.
It's amazing that this staff is able to find the exact kind of players that they're looking for. And I think it just, it just goes to show we don't lose a lot of players really even to the transfer portal each year. So I think that just goes in with picking the right players with the right mindset, to come in and they buy into this system and they buy into what Coach Sampson is doing, and they don't want to leave. They understand their roles and they understand what they need to do in order to win. And I think that just goes to show you how good of recruiting that the coaches and the staff is. Because they get those right players that they're looking for.
Absolutely. I think they do have a great sense of identity. I think they know what they want from each position, and they maximize their potential. And what else could you ask for in college basketball? If you're a prospect and you really want to get better, what more could you want out of a coach and out of a system and a program?
Definitely. Brandon, if nobody has anything else that they want to ask you or whatever, I definitely, man, I want to say I appreciate you hopping on. I gave you a little bit of short notice, but appreciate you hopping on. Appreciate what you guys do at the national level. Obviously, you guys stay pretty busy, and you guys always swing by and show us some love on the site. So I appreciate that. Everybody, make sure you guys give Brandon a follow on Twitter. Brandon, what's your Twitter handle?
At bjenkins247.
Anywhere else they can find you? I'm sure on Instagram.
Yeah, at the same bjenkins247. I'm always repping the company that hired me. So no, I appreciate y'all for having me.
No, for sure. And as things move forward, obviously this is our first year doing the podcast. So as things move forward and basketball comes into play a little bit more, we'll holler at you, maybe give you maybe more than a few hours notice next time. And we'll get you on to chit chat a little bit more in the future.
Yeah. Just stay by the phone early November when we get that other announcement coming.
Fingers crossed.
That's right.
All right, Brandon, I appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, y'all take it easy.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thanks.
There you have it.
All right.
Brandon Jenkins, man. That's awesome. I really appreciate him hopping on. Fair, again, transparency. Kevin told me a couple of days ago, at least, to make sure to maybe holler at Brandon, as we knew the McCarty decision was coming, and I don't think it was a huge secret that he was going to pick Houston or whatever. So it was this early afternoon before I actually reached out to Brandon. So big thanks to him for being willing to hop on for a little bit and chit chat with us and help us keep everybody informed a little bit.
Well, with basketball season coming up, I just feel the need to talk more basketball.
Absolutely.
I mean, it is what it is. We can still do
deserve
football.
True. I mean, give it where it's deserved.
They definitely need their time on the show.
Yeah.
All right, let's you can get back to football now. Let's get back to what we saw in the game. All right, so I did have some stats up a little bit earlier. I just want to throw them back up just so we can take a look at some of these things, because great to get a win, but there's still issues that we have, on this team, and we gave up a lot of yards to a team that, all season long really hasn't had that good of an offense. So whenever I was looking through the stats, and I got the stats up on the board right now, just what kills me is still that third down efficiency. When you look at it on there, I mean, they allowed 13 third down conversions on 19 attempts, and that to me is just an insane amount. It's like 70% third down conversion on their end, and often those times it's like a third and long or something like that, And what I kept seeing yesterday in the game with those, and again going back to West Virginia, even was it Chris Anderson that we had on the show? Was it Chris Anderson that we had on the show for West Virginia?
Chris Anderson from Ear Sports, yes.
Was talking, he was even talking about, that the offense isn't that good. It's their defense that keeps them in the games, right? And their passing game is, it's not really where it needs to be, but we still gave up, almost 400 passing yards to West Virginia. We knew that they were going to run the ball well, but that the passing game is the one that it got to me. I don't know how those receivers kept getting behind our defensive backs. It was just
I'll jump in there a little bit, Kevin. I agree with you, especially on the third down efficiency.
Yeah,
I mean, it's time and time again. Dana said it in the postgame press conference. It's happened so often. In 2021, the money down, third down, Houston got off the field so efficiently, and I feel like, but prior to that and since then, it's just been abysmal, and it shows up time and time again, especially in important situations. And it's a big problem.
Yeah,
it's probably the biggest problem I feel like at this point that needs to be addressed. I will say, from a game plan perspective, I mean, this is what Houston wanted to do, and credit to them for doing a great job. They sold out on the run. The reason the safeties the receivers kept getting out in safeties is because you watched on that deep play. I mean, they are crashing the moment that ball is snapped, and Houston, kind of dared them. Hey, we don't think you can throw the ball, enough to really damage us. And at the end of the day, it kind of worked. Like, yeah, they moved the ball because they'd take those pot shots. But whenever we kind of condensed it down into space, we had some really critical, turnovers and great plays. And I thought the defense, outside of, again, kind of those very critical downs from a game plan perspective, I thought they did what they wanted to do.
Yeah. Well, it's like going back to those Gibbs defenses, where they were great at taking the ball away from the other team, making those big plays whenever they needed to. And that's what I see with this defense is it's kind of like a bend, and then all of a sudden they can come up with a big, interception or a big fumble. And that fumble in the third quarter on that run, that was a fumble. Okay. That was a fumble for sure. Okay. The refs blew that call. All right.
The way I put it in the moment was, had he broken free from that in the second that the ball was poked out,
right,
West Virginia would have been livid, of course, because he wasn't stopped.
Exactly.
And so, I mean, both ways, if you're in terms of looking at it both ways. But yeah, they crashed down, like you were saying, Gatland. They really sold out for the run, and that left people in one-on-one coverage back there. And they West Virginia, credit to them, they did a good job of getting Fleming in single coverage with guys he couldn't handle. Late at different spots, he was matched up on tight ends and whatnot. He did a much better job, but it is what it is when you get a safety and coverage on a receiver. It's generally not a good thing, especially when when you don't get home, when you're bringing pressure or whatever. So
yeah,
story of the year, I guess, so to speak. In that is, if they can't get home, it's really leaving your back end out to dry. And to be fair, that just screams to me that is the biggest difference. We talked about it last night with a couple of people. The biggest difference between 21 and 23. Logan Hall, Pepe Williams, Marcus Jones, all these guys that are like legit NFL guys, that big-time interior defensive lineman that can create pressure. Dot's going to do what Dot's going to do. He's going to be an eater in there. He's going to eat the double team. You got to have no offense to Jamari Caldwell either. I've been really impressed with him considering where Houston found him at. And again, credit to Brian Early as well. That was a real secretive deal when it came to being the kid committed and kept it quiet until it was actual signing day. They fought hard to keep him quiet as much as possible. We talked a little bit on the board at the time, but just credit to him. I think he's a great guy there inside in terms of their, I guess they call it the three or their speed tackle or however they're calling it right now. But really good right there. I mean, he's not Logan Hall and Peyton Turner type deal, but nonetheless, he's going to continue to develop. And right now he's playing with one hand. And I've seen a couple of plays where he's been in there and got guys wrapped up and just couldn't quite bring him down because he's kind of trying to do it with one hand and a club on the other. So I did see that he had a smaller cast on his hand this week. So obviously that's getting better and healing. That'll continue to get better on that front. But they're just not getting as much pressure as much as they did in 21. But I guess to me, that's the biggest difference is having those playmakers that the corners hold their own when it doesn't get home, or the guys get home so that the corners don't have to hold up as well in the back end. But
and that's, specifically, right, that interior pass rush, like you said, Rob, what that did was it freed up, guys like DeAnthony Jones to have one-on-one matchups on the ball. Whereas now, we don't have that pressure in the middle. And so those guards are helping over, to the end. And, I feel like at some point, Doug Belk has to be able to adjust this system and bring pressure outside of a four-man rush and get creative and have the ability to play man coverage on the back end and, do things like that. Otherwise, I don't understand what we're doing here. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Dot Nwankwo, he is not a pass rusher. That's never been his thing. But man, I want to give a shout out to him real quick. I'll stand on my soapbox.
What a game. Against the All-American center.
I mean, man, like I understand he was kind of dinged up early in the season. And, I'll be honest, like prior to this game, I felt a little concerned, like, do you feel like, okay, Dot is still kind of plugging up that middle in the games prior to this, but he's not playing as much. And, maybe it's just one of those things where, hey, he's just kind of outsized and was kind of an all-world guy at the group of five level, but is just a guy at the P5 level. And last night he put the world on notice and said, no, he could have played anywhere in the country. He had all those offers. He chose to stay home, and he showed everybody why that man is going to play on Sundays, whether it's, draft pick or free agent or whatever. He's going to find his way on a team because he is just unstoppable in that run game.
Yeah, for sure. I know he's been playing dinged up still. He came back and was contributing and whatnot, but I think this was probably the most healthiest he's been since he's come back, so to speak, just from I actually had a conversation with Big Sub. Of course, everybody knows Big Sub. I offered him a chance to come on tonight if he got free. If not, we're going to probably maybe have him on pretty soon just to chit chat a little bit. Obviously, he's fun. He's a character. If you guys have met him or seen him on social media, he's a fun
Big Sub, man.
Yeah, I mean, come on now. So we'll get him on. But yeah, I know he's a super proud dad. I stopped by on my way up the stairs. I came across. He was sitting there, and Joey Embu was sitting with him. Obviously, we talked about their relationship before when we had Joey on, but sat and talked to them for a little bit, and just, I mean, proud dad, of course, Big Sub, but he gets it. He understands it. He understands the bigger picture, and he's there having fun supporting his kid. And it was, I like seeing stuff like that. That's the cool side of it. Win, lose, or draw. He was excited for the plays that Dot was making and whatnot. So,
yeah.
But yeah, man, a great point, Gatlin. That, I mean, he really had a great game, and that center is very well respected. So, yeah, I mean, like you said, I think he kind of put people on notice. People are going to have to. He's continued to draw double teams, but if anybody was thinking about changing it up due to lack of productivity in the last couple games, I don't think that's an option for him moving forward.
No doubt.
A couple of the things. Sorry, go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, I was moving on as well. You take us.
Oh, okay. Just a couple of the things that I saw just in the stats. The total plays that we had. I mean, they had 30 more plays than us in the game. But to speak about Donovan Smith, I mean, I thought Donovan Smith had an excellent game. Actually, a couple of throws that he probably wanted to take back. But I mean, at one point he hit 16 straight. I think.
When it counted.
16 straight completions, and that was in the second half. Whenever it counts, it was good to see this team play two halves, of a game offensively. He didn't even throw for them. I mean, we didn't run the ball a lot, so that I don't know how big of a concern that was. I mean, Gatlin, you were mentioning something about the offensive line seemed to play well, but run game wasn't there. I think we only ran for 20 something carries. Something like that. Donovan only threw the ball 27 times. So the offense didn't get a lot of chances out there, but they seemed to make the most of their opportunities whenever they were out there, which was good to see also. So the offense, I think, is definitely coming along. I hate that it takes, 5 or 6 games for us to figure out what kind of offense that we have. I wish we'd have just started it game 1, against UTSA and just say, all right, if you think you can stop us, stop us. But it's good to see the offense coming alive a little. I think that was one of my positives at the last show was we're starting to see some of the offense come alive a little bit. So that was just a couple of observations that I had on the game, and there's a lot more stuff, but just some things I wanted to point out.
Reminds me of Memphis a little bit from last year in terms of the offense finally turning on, or at least adjusting and putting out some results. But go ahead, Gavin.
No, I was just saying. I mean, I tend to agree with a lot of what you said. I made some notes here about Donovan. Continues to improve each week. I mean, he's gotten better. It really feels like the big challenge he's been fighting through and working through, which is understandable, is just kind of the between the ears of the offense.
Yeah, I was about to point in my head. Yep.
Yeah, and some things that have really stood out to me specifically about last night, because I was critical of the offense against Texas Tech, like even in the first half, like it looked great, but it was all kind of one read and either throw or tuck it and go kind of stuff. Obviously, the run game looked a lot better, and we can talk about that, but I'm talking more from a passing standpoint here. And what I watched last night was Donovan dropping back, going through his progression from his first, his second, even his third read, and making some big time throws. I think this team will go as far as he continues to progress, and I think it kind of sets us up very nicely for next year when he's had a full off season in the system. That's where we can kind of really hopefully see him take a big step forward from that perspective. he's still kind of slow in making those progressions, right? And as he continues to get faster at that, I think we'll see some benefits. He's getting us in the right plays more often. So there's a lot of times early in the season you'd watch, like, you have these two-man wide receiver formations out on the outside, and it's like, the option for like a little bubble screen, and it's, maybe not man coverage, but it's 2-on-2, and he doesn't throw it out there. And last night I watched him make that throw a lot more often and just do some things from like getting us in the right play that I didn't see him do earlier in the year. So all of that to me was really positive. My biggest concern for him outside of like the between the ears stuff is I just feel like some of his mechanics, specifically on his lower body, are kind of shaky. Like there's a lot of times where he throws off of his back foot on like a deep ball, like the one to Sam Brown where he underthrew it. It ended up being that pass interference. If he steps into that throw and drives through his front foot, it's probably a touchdown, right? So there's some things like that he needs to work on, just from a mechanics standpoint. And in general, I just feel like sometimes he makes the hard things look easy, like that Hail Mary, where he rolls out and he flips his hips and he drops it on a rope. I mean,
wow, great pass. Great
beautiful,
pass.
Beautiful. And then sometimes he makes the easy things look really hard. Like whenever he's trying to get out, to the check down, like he overthrows that ball a lot. He throws, the kind of swing pass out to the outside, like a little now screen or something like that. Just kind of not necessarily like a missed ball, but like there was the one, I don't remember who dropped it. Might have been Sam Brown. There's like a little bubble screen in the second half, and wide receiver's sitting there waiting for it, and it's 4 feet in front of him. He has to jump out there to try and catch it, and it ends up dropping the ball. And it's like that kind of stuff where it's like those routine plays, if they're on target, on schedule, can make a difference in this offense.
Does he seem to be getting better in the pocket also, as far as anticipation, like where the rush? He does seem to be going into the pockets a little bit better whenever he's feeling some pressure on either side, and I think that's helping to extend those plays a little bit more, and he seems to be able to just run a lot faster whenever he's anticipating that pressure coming in and just to take off rather than to sit there and check on his reads. He did get, I think he was sacked still a couple of times yesterday, but I can't remember if they were coverage sacks or not. Whenever I'm filming the game, I'm not paying attention too much to, alignments and things like that. But to me, it just seems like in the pocket, he's just getting a little bit better as far as his instincts goes.
Definitely. I think he has a lot more confidence in the offensive line at this point, and he kind of knows what that clock is going to be, it seems like. More than early in the season, where he is just holding the ball so long and waiting for things to develop. And that's where I talk about that confidence. Like, you need to get the ball, go quickly, whatever your read is, and then make a decision. And I feel like he's starting to do that more often. And as he continues to get more confident in those decisions, like, for example, when he rolls out on that on the first drive, the little, like, is he going to throw it? Is he not, to Tony Mathis on that third down? Like, there's some of that stuff that still kind of rears his head. Like, all right, just make the throw. Like, that's what I'm talking about. The easy stuff being hard. Like, just make the throw. But in general, I've really liked his pocket presence. I agree, Kevin.
That's got to come with just, playing with that offensive line more and more, and just understanding how they communicate with each other. And it's, difficult just to throw a quarterback, behind the line who doesn't have much experience with that line, and vice versa for the line who doesn't know the quarterback tendencies all that well. So, it's just going to come with time, right? They have to play more and more in order to, understand each other's quirks and needs and things like that. So that's what I'm thinking, right? It's just comes with experience. It comes with time.
And that's what I mean about like an identity, right? Is, don't get me wrong, the offensive line gave up several sacks last night that were on them. Like I mentioned, the Peyton Dunn, where he doesn't pick up the stunt. And Unajay had one where he just got bull rushed into the quarterback. Like, things like that still happen, and it's nowhere near where it needs to be. But for this identity where, hey, we're still going to commit to the run, right? Because what that did, so, and again, we'll get more into this like with the X's and O's that we do later, but like what West Virginia respected the run. Right? We gained, we got 140 rushing yards or whatever it was, right? Like, when you do that, it starts to open up the outside, and now we get to do the things everyone's been asking for: the tunnel screens, the jet sweeps, the speed tosses, because the defense is sucked in more on the interior. And so we're starting to find a little bit of that identity. It's coming from a pass first kind of mindset, which I know Dana doesn't like, but it's happening, right? And so I think to your point, as they kind of get more comfortable with that, maybe the offensive line continues to take another step forward or something like that. But the identity is not at this point built around the offensive line, and I think that's probably a good thing.
And I also think that as the more you get more consistent from Donovan Smith and everybody, of course, these all feed off each other, obviously. The more they have to respect what Donovan's doing, the more, it opens up more run options. And the better he gets comfortable with, where to expect the pressure, where not to expect it on a regular basis, all those things and all that will continue to improve. Like you said, you've seen marked improvement, I think, from him. He's still not the most accurate quarterback in the world, but it's more like now he's minimizing those lows more, and you're seeing more of the highs, so to speak. So, and as he continues to clean that up and get better, there's a couple times like on that throw to I believe it was Boogie's first touchdown with 1 foot in the back of the end zone. Great throw, but I'm talking half a second later and he's out. You know what I mean? So sometimes I think he waits to see a guy open before he lets it go, and you'd like to see him continue to progress and continue to develop in terms of that anticipation level, which I think will come. I really do.
I think that's the next season kind of thing, but I think it's definitely he's shown the potential there for sure.
Yeah, because Boogie was open a step or two quicker than that. In terms of you could tell he was going to be there, and so whatever. In the end, it was great because he has that arm strength. He literally got it to him in a heartbeat, and he had that back foot in still, so it doesn't matter. But those are the type of things where you see that could just as easily have been out of bounds, incomplete. And so,
that anticipation is definitely something he struggles with a little bit. But I think that's something that, again, comes with time. As he begins to make decisions quicker, he'll start to know the offense more. He'll know where guys are going to be and, trust them a little bit more maybe. I don't quite know how to put it, but.
Right. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, and Holgerson, it is what it is with him. I know people, the criticism's out there, but he has a history of developing some quarterbacks. He gets him and his staff get a portion of what obviously the development Tune did. He had some time before this staff got here, but he really blossomed under the staff, and obviously he was going to blossom as he continued to mature. But they get just as much credit as anybody else does, and he's done it before with guys he inherited or whatever at West Virginia, and he does have that history of being able to develop them. It may not be as quick per se as what some fans want, but I think it's going to get there.
Well, look, he hit 78% of his passes last night.
Yeah,
16 straight, 253 yards. He accounted for 5 touchdowns in the game.
You couldn't ask for much more.
He seems to be improving.
No doubt. No, again, don't hear what I'm not saying, right? I think Donovan Smith played a heck of a game.
Best game so far,
for sure. And I think part of it is also like the staff is doing more to help him. Like I saw, and this is 2 weeks in a row now, or 2 games in a row, where we've seen much more motion in the offense, which is helping him, I think, identify the defense pre-snap, kind of know where things are going to be. Like there's a lot of things that the staff is doing now to help him. And you say, well, why didn't they do that earlier? It's a great question. It's mind-boggling.
Everyone's asking it. Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, we're here now. Things are clicking. And Donovan played a heck of a game. And again, I think he's going to continue to get better every week.
Yeah, and with Texas coming in this next weekend, obviously, you couldn't ask for a better in terms of confidence booster for Donovan, the program, the fan base to an extent. You just couldn't ask for a better scenario to have played out this weekend, the emotions of it that should carry into the week. And you know what? You never know type deal. That's why they line them up and play them. Crazier things happen. But at least I feel it's better for the fan base, the team, and everybody. If they would have lost this game with 15 seconds left or whatever on that 4th down non-switch on the banjo or whatever they're calling it these days, they didn't switch on the back end when basically at the mesh point. in the moment we saw it, and I happened to have found Coug 30 in the stands and was chatting with him for a minute, and we couldn't for the life of us figure out how that tight end or that outside receiver, he was lined up outside, how he had gotten loose. We tried watching the replay, didn't see it, and then we had actually been talking about the terminology that they use and how some of it stays the same, and we were laughing about that switch at a mesh point. They used to call it banjo forever, and as far as he knew, they still call it banjo, which is hilarious that hasn't changed over the time. But he got home, I guess, and he saw it, and he sent me a picture, a screenshot of it. And he was like, how funny is it? We talked about banjo, and that's what caused that on that last one. And of course, after that, I mean, there was a couple missed tackles as well on his way to the end zone, but that's besides.
And
we'll save some more of that for later.
Yeah, well, and it's tough that they don't have, I guess maybe anyone more, because my thought when I watched that last drive was after the dropped interception, why is Jalen Emery, who is a redshirt freshman, in on that last drive, right? Yeah. And I know he's played, decent this year in his spots, but man, I don't want to see him in there in that situation.
Size wise.
Yeah, but that's kind of, I guess he is one of the more experienced guys, right? A lot of that back end is new this year.
True, so, very true.
He makes a freshman mistake. He doesn't hear the communication. He probably didn't hear the banjo call to begin with. That's something that DBs usually do it themselves. And so he turns and follows that and runs right into the, whoever that safety was, and, they just kind of collide.
And people don't understand. I mean, we always talk about how close things are, this and that, man, inches and this and that, and I get it. It's some people don't care to get that deep into it, but I mean, literally, they get that banjo call right, and chances are, even if he does catch it, someone's going to be there to tackle him. So then the clock's still running. I mean, things just play out differently. You never know, right? But just one little slip up at the wrong time,
overtime versus near death, or no, that was fourth down. That would have been the game.
Yeah, it was. So as long as you can keep him under 10, obviously.
Oh, right.
But still, I mean. Yeah, but anyway, that's more stuff we can dig into on X's and O's and all that. But Jalen Emery, look, he made strides last year as it went, but he got forced into a situation where he had to play, and you saw growth. Yeah. And I think his best days are ahead of him still. I mean, he legit, despite size, he's a really good corner. I mean, in terms you can see that he's going to continue developing as he eliminates more and more of those mistakes and becomes more consistent. He's going to be in the future of this program. He'll be a key contributor. So it is what it is. Like you said, when you're forced into a spot to have inexperienced guys in there at times, that's the risk you take. And, it's not on him. It is what it is type thing. It's just, it is.
And hopefully it's a great learning experience. I mean, look,
absolutely.
I'd rather them take these lumps this year when things are already a little off the rails. This is what we've kind of been asking for, right? Is get some of these young guys in here. Yeah. Hey, sure, they're going to make some mistakes, but that's how they learn, right? And
no better way to learn.
Yeah, I think you're right. The future is very bright for Jalen Emery and maybe some others on that secondary.
Yeah, for sure.
I would have preferred those mistakes in our out of conference schedule, not in our in conference schedule.
Mistakes against Sam Houston, yes,
certainly.
Mistakes against UTSA, take it. I didn't see Brian George in the game yesterday. Did Brian George play?
I didn't either. I don't recall it. Of course, he could have been, but I don't
remember seeing him out there. Yeah. So I wonder.
Might be dinged up. These guys get dinged up all the time, and. Yeah. The way the staff is, they're not going to talk about it if it's not significant, or you know what I mean. They sometimes they'll bring it up and discuss it, but for the most part, little nicks and this and that, they're just not going to bring it up. You know what I mean? There's no sense in it.
Well, it could have been why Emery was in there instead of
true.
So that's what I was just thinking. Is I didn't see him out there, so why was Emery in there? So maybe he was dinged up a little bit and we just didn't know it.
Yeah. Fair.
Game time decision, point. Maybe. Yeah.
Well, look, I'm looking up at the clock here. We're almost literally right at 1 hour. So
we are.
I don't know if you guys have anything else you wanted to touch on or whatever, but other than that, I mean, I guess we could probably wrap this one up and until next time, so to speak.
Was it just me, or did West Virginia seem noticeably bigger than us out there on the field?
And that's what, and when we talk on the boards about recruiting, and Gatlin can obviously share his thoughts as well, but when we talk about recruiting, a team being at a Big 12 level recruiting for decades or however long, the Power 5 level, that's what it looks like. You know what I mean? Houston's starting to get there. You start see in spots there's bigger guys and this and that. Mm-hmm. But when you same thing with Tech, West Virginia, any of these Big 12 teams you're going to face.
Yeah.
Their first team, second team, and sometimes even third team have a shot at being bigger, especially in the trenches is where you're going to see it the most, in my opinion. But that's one of those things Times is going to have to fix, and we'll dig into this one later too. But offensive line recruiting, I know I harp on offensive line, but
It's the most important.
is it too early to say I'm concerned about next year already?
I mean,
with 8 commitments,
I'm talking about offensive line.
with 2 offensive line commitments,
and neither one of them are tackles, and obviously we already knew
portal.
the transfer portal was going to be heavy for the offensive line. That was a given, but that's going to have to be a given. But I would love to see them just from a program building standpoint. I think it would help them to get. They got to find a way to start landing some high school tackles that have promise and a future, so that they, you know what I mean. It can't be the portal every year for tackles. I think it's going to be fruitful at times, but that's just hard. I mean, we talk about on the board how hard it is to get tackles. It's just
and really you're fighting every other school for those same players, also. You know, who are looking to fill those same gaps as
well.
Pull
it up, like I say on the board. Pull up last year's offensive tackles according to ranking, and as you go down, you'll just see a who's who of SEC,
Big Ten,
Michigan, Ohio State, Notre Dame. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, but I mean, we've harped on that enough. I'm not getting too much of that, but
I will add on to what you said though about recruiting in general. Like, it's funny actually. The time I was talking with somebody, I was at a work event last night, and they also played a little bit of college football, like the FCS level, and we were kind of talking about like one of the things you learn when you play at that level is the difference besides depth. Obviously, when you're comparing like your first teamers, it's really not an issue a lot of times of skill, right? Like the wide receivers are just as talented, but they're 4 inches shorter. Or like you look at the guys. Texas Tech always has 1 or 2 wide receivers who's just 6'4", 6'5", and runs like a deer, right?
Yeah.
And in the tight ends, right? They're 6'7", 6'6" instead of 6'3", 6'4", right?
Yeah.
And those couple inches and those 30, 40 pounds make a world of difference. Sure. Even if from like a skill set perspective, or when they're running around in shorts and t-shirt, they might look just as good. That body type development makes a world of difference.
Yeah, it does.
And having another set of them behind there too to rotate in type deal. I mean, even when that guy goes out, there's probably somebody equal, at least stature wise, that's going to come in. Might be a little less skilled or a little less developed, but nonetheless, those bodies are coming in and beating on you and leaning on you and all that stuff. So it adds up over time. But you know what? I mean, it's a process. We'll see how it goes. I think the portal is going to become more and more fruitful. You just have to be able to find the right guys and be able to capitalize. Obviously, so much more comes into it, NIL and all that stuff these days. But we'll be here to track it and see, right? We'll see where it goes. And
that's right.
It is what it is.
Yeah, and certainly I think you're right, Rob. Like, I mean, it's one thing to give the promise of, hey, transfer here, will be Power 5 in a year or two. But now you are in a situation where going into next year, if you have another win or two like this and you end the season 5 or 6 wins, you go to a kid who has, group of 5 experience as a, all conference guy, or one of those guys who, got stuck on the bench somewhere big. The case becomes a lot more compelling to say, hey, we need you now, and that's
come start for us.
Kind of looking for, yeah, exactly. And so
that's what those kids are looking for in the end. They want that playing time so they can put on tape what they are.
Yeah. I don't think we're ever going to be in the multi-million-dollar quarterback sweepstakes that go on or anything like that.
I hope not.
But, careful what you wish for, right?
But
I hope not. I don't want that.
But I think some of those recruiting battles in the portal that we lost last year, like guys like Damian George, for example, right? Obviously, I know NIL played a big piece in that, but like I think that's the kind of guy that, as you're actually in the Power 5, we probably have a better shot to win the hey, come home and start for us argument.
And as you're able to build a little more excitement too, with some quality wins.
Yep, very true.
Even if it means taking a haircut on the payday, I think we'll get more of those guys to do that.
Yeah,
I agree.
Well, fellas, I think that's probably it for us then tonight. Man, I really appreciate y'all hopping on. Obviously, it's Friday night. I know we all have such huge social lives going on at our age, and so I mean, not to judge for any of you guys. Sorry, of course, but
we got a question from Connor also.
Oh, what'd you jump in with? Where's Connor?
What do you think the line will open at for the Texas game?
Oh, I don't know. What do you got? Anybody have one first? Let me think for a second here.
Texas
No idea.
minus 23.
I was going to say that 21 to 24, somewhere in there probably. I don't think it'll get too crazier than that. I don't see it approaching 30 unless just tons of money comes in. But I could see that 21, 24, somewhere in that range maybe.
I don't think it's going to be good.
Oh no, by all means.
I think it'll
think
certainly
the
be
teams is
double
respectable
digits.
if it gets to that.
Yeah, I think it'll certainly be double digits. I mean, maybe for an open, maybe it opens at minus 14.
Just to see where money drives it.
Yeah, but I don't see it going any lower than that.
No, and that's fine. It is what it is.
Certainly.
Line it up and see. Everybody will be there, and it'll be fun. It'll be a good atmosphere. If the on the field performance ends up, disappointed, that's fine. It is.
Hey, you got to play the games. You don't know what's going to happen, right?
Oh, no,
yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Don't
every
get me
team,
wrong.
Anything can happen.
As a totally biased fan, look, I will convince myself probably by tomorrow morning that Houston is going to win that game. All right,
It's not hard to do.
Make the mental gymnastics happen. All right, but as an objective conversation, I don't feel great about where Vegas is going to put us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was sitting in the post-game press conference last night, and Sam was sitting in front of me, and I said, where's Texas this weekend? Thinking, I'll probably watch them just to see a little bit. And he was like, oh, they're off this week. And I was like, yeah, Lee, you just can't catch a break, can you? Not only are they just coming off getting beat up by Oklahoma, but now they're going to have a whole bye week to think about it and get mad and get things situated and healthy and all that. So,
Hey, maybe they'll overlook us.
Not the best situation to walk into, but you never know. I mean, crazier things have happened. Upsets happen every year.
It's a trap game.
Sure.
Trap game. This one.
I don't know who they have next after Houston, but yeah, I mean,
I will say
they're playing for a lot more than Houston is at the moment.
I watched that Oklahoma game, and I mean they definitely put some things on tape that gives Houston a chance to kind of exploit, and defensively they're kind of structured similarly Houston and Oklahoma. Like I think they can take a couple pages now. Will they be able to execute it against just the embarrassment of riches Texas has talent-wise? Who knows? But to your point, that's why we line up and play the game.
They play BYU afterwards. They play BYU the next Saturday.
There you go.
Yeah, don't be looking ahead of those Cougars if you don't pay attention.
Look
to
past
these
us.
Cougars.
I want them to look past us. I want them to come in with the attitude that it's going to be an easy game, and I hope that we can punch them in the mouth a couple times.
For the fans' sake, I hope it's competitive, at least through the first half type deal. And if they pull away because of talent type thing in the second half, at least, keep the interest and keep it fun.
Yeah. All right. We got another question.
A lot of fans, and everybody's waiting for this for a long time to get Texas back in here.
Yeah.
I know
20 years.
A huge deal coming in, but it'll be fun either way.
Yeah. We have another question from John Mandel.
Oh, wow. We're popping in late. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. I'm gonna put it up here. All right.
Yeah.
About the I guess the volleyball game tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
He sold out volleyball game.
I did see that. Look, I saw it was sold out. I'm not going to even try to feign that I pay attention to other sports besides football and basketball, but I did see it was sold out. That's obviously huge. I mean, volleyball alone drawing a sellout is a huge deal in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I don't know if any of you guys follow any of the other sports any more closely than I do, but I mean, it's obviously huge already for them to come in and get these in. Get the teams like this in. It's going to increase the attendance even for casual fans that are out trying to support. These are the teams they always want to see regardless of sport.
Yeah. Well, the volleyball team seems to be doing pretty well this year also anyway. So, I mean, maybe it's a good matchup.
No, that's very true.
Yeah.
They've definitely been the in terms of leading the Big 12.
Pretty decent run last year.
Yeah, they did.
True.
Yeah, I don't follow volleyball very closely, but yeah, I mean they're I think 11th in the country or something like that right now, and it's a huge marquee matchup. Yeah, and Texas is top 5. That's why it's
Texas is usually top 5 in volleyball.
Yeah,
volleyball, and what else they have? Basketball, they're usually good. They're usually good at most of those sports.
They don't have a problem getting the talent in those sports, so that's fair. No, for sure. I think that's great. And the volleyball team, like you said, has even kind of led led the way with wins. Obviously, they beat West Virginia. Everybody noted this week how volleyball got a West Virginia win. I believe soccer had a West Virginia win. Everybody thought it'd be cool to wrap that up with a football win, which came to be. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't have much more to say than that.
I'll stick to what I know.
Fortunately, I do not know much about volleyball.
I'll probably put it on ESPN Plus. Put the game on. Check it out.
Oh, that's for sure worth watching.
Definitely.
So I want to see that crowd. I want to see how the crowd is during that game.
Well, it's like the World Cup. Like I know nothing about the men's national team, but if that game is on, you bet I am there rooting for them. Absolutely,
that's true. Olympics and World Cup, that's kind of similar to me. If it's not a main sport that I follow, but Olympics or national type deal like that, World Cup type thing, I can watch that whether or not I'm super knowledgeable or not.
Yeah, like I found myself watching a lot of women's basketball last year when they made that little run in the conference tournament and thought they might get in. Like, I don't watch women's basketball, but all of a sudden I was. So,
but even casual fans, like you point out, casual fans will join in.
It's great for the university when these programs are able to get some success. I think it lifts everyone's spirits, and it's definitely a net positive, obviously. So,
hey, we got to recruit those sports also. So, the more attention is only going to be better for our recruiting.
Yeah.
We got to compete with Big 12 teams now, so we got to do it. All sports.
Fair deal.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I really appreciate you guys jumping on. Everybody that swung through or watches this on the replay, appreciate that as well. Subscribe, please. Like, comment, post questions. We will be glad to take on any questions and answer them. Anybody that wants to be a guest on the show is always welcome. I continue to put out any public invites. Big Sub's going to stop by soon. I think we've lined up Sam Comm for next week, pre-Texas.
Yeah.
And I've had some other players I've been talking to that are probably going to come on as well. So to be continued, and we'll make sure to give everybody a heads up as that comes to be in the next week or so.
And I know we're doing some technical breakdown later this weekend.
Yes, true. Yes.
So if any
and that'll be out early in the week, I would imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. So if any folks have any questions between now and then to put in,
post them on the board. Post them on any of our Twitter accounts that you know. Get us a question if you have any technical questions, and we'll address them in the breakdown this weekend.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, guys. Time to get some rest.
All right. Appreciate you guys. We'll see y'all soon.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right, guys. Good one. Good show.
Yes.